So, I'm going to share a video in advance so that on Friday I don't have to work tomorrow to do it for Friday, because is it already tomorrow or not? So I want to share the front and the back. It's kind of this theme of front and back. So, or forwards and backwards, or we'll call it filling forwards and backwards. So, as taught by Rabbi Avraham Aryeh Trugman, author of the 70 Faces, so there's this technique when we're using the letters, because Hebrew is like a code, the letters are also numbers and they're meaningful. So Pollinoye is a technique, it's called filling. Like, for example, my name is Shana, so you would have Shin spelled out the letter. Like, let's say you had in English the letter, M, it would be E-M. If you wanted to spell out the letter M, you would write E-M, right? Or letter B, you would write B-E-E, probably. Or F, you would write E-F-F, right? Z, you would write Z-E-E. O, you would write O like H, or O-W, right? So in Hebrew, you would use the letters to do so Shin would be Shin Yod Nun. You're filling out each letter. You're making it like written out. So it's like you're writing, maybe you would write E-M, A-Y, that's M-A, B-E-E, and then, Y. So then you would write like W-Y, and then you would write B-E, maybe not two E's, B-E, and then you would write E-E, and now you spelled out maybe, but each letter's filled, right? So you have Shin, Yud, Vav, Dalet for Yud, Yud, Vav, Dalet for Yud, Nun is Nun, Vav, Nun, and then Aleph was Aleph, Lamed, Fe. Each letter is spelled out with the Hebrew letters, also known as filled. And this has a numerical value significance for calculations, for example, what we would call gematria. So Shena equals 371. I have to say that Yehi Ratzon also equals 371, which I thought was very interesting. So you have Shin, which is 50, 10, and 30. So 300, sorry, so you get 360. Then you have Yud spelled out, which is 20. Yud spelled out again, 20. Nun spelled out 106. Aleph spelled out 111. Now you have 617. So let's see. You have 617 minus 371. So here we have 246, which in Hebrew is mered, which means rebellion, uprising, revolt. So maybe in my full expression, I'm like an insurrector against evil. This is just, I was Googling this and researching this. And because if I calculate just the added letters, also known as filling, right, of the letters, can have alternate meanings too. Like there is Aryeh Shali Yehuda. Lion of mine is Judah. Equals 246. So the difference between me and my full expression is if the lion of mine is Judah. So then we have 246. You could have Yud Nun, Vav Daled, Vav Nun, and Lamed Fe. So now we just took off the first letters of all of them. In other words, we had Shin Yud Nun, Yud Vav Dalet. So here we took off the first of each of those. So 246 is actually, if you take, so in other words, if you would have my whole name without filling it, you'd have 371, right? So if you want to know what the difference is between 371 and the filling, you just take away the first letters and then you calculate, right? So now we have, like, let's say you had, let's say it was like that in English where each letter also had a numerical value. You'd have, let's say, like the word M, you would take away, let's say E, let's say the first letter of every single, let's say the word maybe, right? It was always the first letter. Because that's how it works here. You see, it's the first letter of every one of these words. So that's why we know English is like arbitrary, but Hebrew is like considered to be Lashon HaKodesh, the language that is creative and could separate things and build. And so basically my point is that if you take off the first letter of each of those, now you get the balance, which was 246, as we said, versus the 371. 371, so if you take just my name plus itself in its full expression, you get 988, which is my name plus the full name, including the filling, which also can have meaningful things to learn from. For example, on Google, I found that Yekares Mashiach, 988, you'll cut off Mashiach, which means which could mean that freeing Mashiach from the clutches of something bad, like cut Mashiach off from what it's stuck in. There is an extensive room for more calculations to be done, or combining with other techniques. For example, Shena, 371, is also 5 letters. If you add 371 plus 5, you get Shlomo, which is my grandfather's first name and also David HaMelech's son's name. Is that right? Shin, Lamed, Vav, Mem, Aleph. No, it's Hey, Shlomo with a Hey. Yeah, Shlomo with a Hey. Is that right? $300. I guess it depends how you spell it. I'm not so sure. And then also 376 is Esav, Yaakov's brother. And Esav is spelled out. So Esav is 376, which would be like Shlomo spelled a certain way. And Esav spelled out, you have Ayin, Shin, and Vav. If you spell those out, you have like, Vav is like 11 or 12 or 13, so you have like, it depends how you spell it. So Vav, Aleph, Vav, 6 and 6 is 12, plus Aleph is 13, yeah. 360 for Shin, and Ayin is 130, so you have 502 or 503. And 502 equals Baalas, the mistress. The missus, the mistress, right? Or Basar, which is flesh, 200, 302. And for 503, you have also Gesher, which is a bridge, or binding. Or Eben HaZachlas, the serpent stone. So here, that was kind of like, now we have 2 types of methods. You have Acharayim and Panim. So you have Acharayim, which is a Miloy means filling, begins with just the first letter of the word and then adds 1 letter at a time until the full amount appears. For example, with Hashem's name, you have Yod and Hey and Vav and Hey. So you take Yod, then have Yod and Hey, then have Yod and Hey and Vav, and then have Yod and Hey and Vav and Hey. And you add these all together and it would be 72, which is the same as Chesed, loving kindness. That's God's signature. So Panim is the Miloy method, which begins, so that was Acharayim. Then you have Panim, which begins with the full word and gradually reduces letter by letter until just the last letter. So you have like Yod, Hey, and Vav, and Hey. Then you have Hey, and Vav, and Hey. Then you have Vav, and Hey, and then you have Hey. And that equals 58, right? So that's Chaim, graciousness. If we use this to look at other things in life, we could say, let's say, looking at, when we look back at a relationship and we flesh it out. So I was thinking, like, what are some favorite things I had with somebody? So I felt, I chose Michael. This is someone in my life who I actually just saw today. So and I'll be seeing him soon when he drops something off. How connected he is to the precepts that all the religions are based on, how we fit together perfectly. When we used to hug, now we don't hug for years. Because I stopped hugging a man who's not my husband by Jewish married law. That he could forgive me when I forgot about grace, how we could always seem to have amazing synchronicities and serendipity and perfect timing and coincidences that are not really coincidences, and that he did this bouncing squat stretch and his arm and head stretches, and by nature he had a good style or taste, and he's clean and organized and resourceful and a great designer, and he has a beautiful body, and that he has all the like the pet names and cute names he would come up with to call me, and learning Torah together and going for a walk together, seeing interesting things together. And this is something I could look back on and say, but if I hadn't written it down, I wouldn't remember that now. I want to share also a few things. So then looking at OA, so feeling full, right? This idea of filling up. So food, OA means Overeaters Anonymous. It's like, if you feel like you ever compulsively eat, you're welcome to go there. So I got a lot out of it. So we talked about, so I learned a lot of things from there. Like when I was feeling empty and I wanted fulfillment, what it teaches me, what do I do when that's happening? So my food plan is actually exclusivity, discernment, like fear of missing out, filling up the space, not just what becomes waste. So no means something. My actions speak louder than my words. And then also this idea of living day by day, presence, is to be here now, and not even my memories or my past perceptions are trustworthy. People's energy of fault finding takes time to digest and release if I take it on, and it's not selfish to not stay with them. And my recovery depends on remembering God is in my food. It's not just a substance, it has the energy I want, and I can't just eat the advertised food without actually becoming it, and it hurts me. So it's crucial that I take it one day at a time. So if I eat all the advertised foods. So, and then my strength has been proven. My relapse, my return made me stronger. Basically, like, we call it like falling off and coming back on and all that. So it's not just the strength of ballooning up, carrying a backpack on the ankles and the knees and the hips, because I don't want to go back. So when I say backpack, I mean like weights, like not just like ballooning up, like becoming big as a strength, that look how much I could carry, look how much weight I could carry. Like, and then I want to share a couple things from the circle of the Baal Shem Tov. But first, I would say that there's this interesting word in the Torah called es. Es in the Torah may refer to like the ness of something. Now, what does it mean, ness? Like a noun, like you would say I don't know why this word came up, the vulgarness or the faithfulness. The ness, like holiness, frankness, liveliness. It doesn't have an exact translation, actually. So sometimes it's like es this. It's like the this. But the is like another letter. It's like hey is the in the beginning of a word. So we say it could be like the ness. I'm just saying it, not we. I could say that like it could be like the ness of a word, the ness, the nounness of it. Now this is from a book, The Circle of the Baal Shem Tov, by Avraham J. Heschel. And Rabbi Gershon of Kutner interpreted the verse from Isaiah 42:18. O ye deaf, listen, and O ye blind, look that ye may see. He would say that it means that the masses Isaiah's Yeshayahu, and Rabbi Gershon of Kutner was actually the brother-in-law of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidism. So he would say that this is actually the blind are the masses who see by looking up to the Torah scholars, because if a matter is worthy to the scholars, the simple man approves, but if not, it's not. Because if one is deaf, how can one listen? And if one is blind, how can one see? So he said the Torah scholars are the deaf, and they have to turn their ears to hear what they learned in the Torah, to pay attention to the words. In Hebrew, the word for deaf ones is actually, in the Isaiah quote, is related to how Charash is spelled, and translated from Melachim, kings, as artisans. So the scholars can be considered as specialists, as artisans. Are they deaf or are they artisans? Interesting, right? And you would say, and then the Baal Shem Tov said that when someone has corrected all 70 of his moral attributes, representing each of the 70 Gentile nations, he need not fear any nation. Rabbi Yehuda Leib of Pollinoye said, Amalek, forgetfulness, and he said in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, that Amalek is forgetfulness. Like, when we think about it, anger and forgetfulness are related. And this is from Nedarim 22b. That's the source of where he says that. And plus the Kabbalists found the roots of pride in the klipa of Amalek is 240, and also ram, which means haughty. So the pride and the forgetfulness is all related to anger. So that's all. We just finished book 11. We're going to start book 12 in the next video. All right, bye-bye.